Nobody believed him, not the media, not the global elites, not even the Canadian Prime Minister who laughed off the warnings and lied to an entire country. But now they're all scrambling because President Trump didn't just expose China's secret economic collapse, he literally triggered a political earthquake. This earthquake just ripped right straight through Canada's ruling class, guys. This is huge. So you're about to see how a single truth bomb dropped by Trump and ignored by the world has now set off a massive Canadian uprising. So why is Canadians, furious with Mark Carney? That is the question that a lot of people are asking. Like, why would Canadians essentially be uprising against Mark Carney, right? Like, why are Alberta leaders all of a sudden flying to Mar-a-Lago? And more importantly, what does this have to do with China's silent economic implosion and a global realignment that's happening in real time? Well, guys, if you stay tuned, we're going to cover exactly what this means, and you're going to understand why Trump wasn't just right. He was like 10 steps ahead. In fact, now Canada is on the verge of a political revolt that nobody, and I mean nobody, saw this thing coming. So if you haven't already, hit the like button for the video, subscribe to the channel. Let's break it all down. And I also want to show you guys how Trump's China revelation just ignited a movement that is now reshaping North America. This is huge. All right, let's start with what everybody ignored until now, right? Now, from the very beginning, at least of his second term, President Trump, he sounded the alarm. China's economy was on the brink, and they were panicking behind closed doors. Now, if you let the media tell you, China was a lot more powerful than what Trump was saying, and the United States may have bitten off more than it could chew, according to the media. So instead of listening, the media mocked him. Global leaders dismissed him, and yet, while China was out publicly condemning the U.S., their top officials were secretly flying to Washington, D.C., begging and pleading for a backdoor deal. That's not speculation, guys. That was actually confirmed. In fact, let Larry Kudlow tell it, Trump let the cat out of the bag, but nobody listened. Crazy, right? He exposed what the world wasn't ready to admit. China's so-called economic strength, it was all smoke and mirrors. And the worst part, the Canadian leadership, including Mark Carney, they chose to ignore it. That silence is now coming back to haunt them. In fact, that silence is now coming back to bite them in the butt. But it gets even deeper than that, guys. So while the media was clinging to China's propaganda, Trump's team uncovered the real story. The deflation crisis, prices in China dropping at double-digit rates, riots. Oh yeah, there were riots going on over there. Factory workers not getting paid, industries collapsing, disillusioned Gen Z movement. Guys, thousands of young Chinese opting out of society, calling themselves rat people. Yeah, rat people. And finally, of course, we can't forget about the dramatic 115% tariff rollback on both sides, negotiated in secret, revealed only after Trump had already secured the deal. So basically what we're looking at is China folded and the media ignored it. But now that it's public, the fallout is going global, especially in Canada, where the damage is already erupting. And of course, I'm going to reveal with you guys exactly how Prime Minister Mark Carney quietly caved to Trump's pressure before Canada's election, and why both conservatives and progressives are now turning on him right now. So this is about to get super crazy. Now, if you're 65 or maybe you're close to it, you got a pile of Medicare jump that you never asked for, right? So here's something that's even better than that. They're not here to sell you one plan. Let's talk about Chapter for a second, okay? Chapter is absolutely amazing, and they want to go ahead and clear the air for you, right? Chapter compares every Medicare option out there for you guys to make sure that your doctors are covered and to help you get the best deal possible. Julie in Kansas saved $400 a year. Jamie in Texas saved $600 a year. How much do you think that you could save if you were to give Chapter a call right now? Let me know in the comments down below, guys. So Chapter was started by people who watched their own parents get screwed over with some bad advice. So they built a company to fix it. You can reach them right now at askchapter.org/Ron if you want to hit them up on the web. I'll leave a link for their website as well as their phone number in the description down below. But you can also call them on the phone at 909-563-8279. Free, honest Medicare help. You can't go wrong with that. Hey, you can just call them up and say, hey, am I doing this thing right? Am I selecting the best plan? Is there any way I can save a few dollars? Give them a call. So anyway, here's where things get really ugly for Canada. Because while the media was way too busy attacking Trump, Prime Minister Mark Carney was busy backstabbing Canadians. Yeah. So let's go ahead and get the facts straight, right? So during the election, Carney campaigned as a tough guy. Big old macho guy, right? So anyway, he vowed to stand strong against President Trump's tariffs. He told Canadians he was going to fight for fair trade and protect their economy, yada, yada, yada. But what Carney didn't tell his voters was this. He had already repealed nearly all of Canada's retaliatory tariffs on U.S. goods. 2 weeks before the election even took place. 2 weeks before. Yeah. So this is not just betrayal. This is a full-blown con job, okay? So basically what he did was he pretended to be negotiating from strength while quietly surrendering behind closed doors. I mean, it is what it is. And when Trump later praised Carney as being a reasonable guy, it made perfect sense because Carney had already given everything away. It's no wonder Canadians on both sides, both the left and the right, are furious, right? Well, wait until I share this next piece with you because it doesn't end there, guys. In fact, there's a whole nother layer to Carney's betrayal that's now under fire. Behind the scenes, Canada remained deeply entangled with China. We're talking economically, politically. They were in bed together. And while Trump was busy cutting secret deals and exposing China's collapse, Mark Carney was quietly cozying up to both sides. He's trying to appease China with backdoor trade ties, while at the same time, he's trying to pretend to stand up to the United States like he's a big tough guy with a big chest. So that's the globalist blueprint, guys. Play all sides, say nothing, and cash in. But Canadians are now waking up. They're connecting the dots between Carney's globalist lies, the economic instability, and of course, China's grip on their future. And this, my friends, this realization has led to something very rare in Canadian politics. Outrage from both the conservatives and the progressives at the same freaking time. So it's crazy. So, of course, we need to dive into this growing movement to break away from Ottawa. That's right, guys. Alberta is done playing games, and their leaders are now turning to Trump for answers. Can you believe this, guys? Yeah, you're going to want to see exactly what happened over at Mar-a-Lago, okay? So this is where things really start to boil over, because while Ottawa tries to spin Mark Carney's betrayal as strategic, right? Alberta's not buying it. In fact, Alberta, they're actually a lot smarter than they think. Alberta is actually getting ready to walk away from the whole system. Now, even before this whole scandal, polls showed that 3 out of 10 Albertans supported secession from Canada. Now, at this point, that number is climbing fast. So remember, started off at 3 out of 10. But why? Why is that number climbing fast? Well, it's because Alberta, Canada's energy powerhouse, produces over 90% of the nation's energy, powers the economy, and it also brings in billions of dollars. And yet, it's being sabotaged by Mark Carney's anti-energy globalist policies. So is Mark Carney just a complete idiot? Is he a coward? Like, what is he, right? But this is not just disrespect, guys. This is economic suicide. And now Albertans are asking, hey, why should we keep the lights on for a government that keeps selling us out, right? If you're a Canadian watching the show right now, please drop a I'm Canadian in the comments down below. I want to see how many people are actually from Canada watching this unfold right now. It's crazy. And let me know what you guys are seeing boots on the ground. I'd love to hear from you guys. So guys, I think it's pretty clear that the support for independence is undeniably surging. This isn't a fringe idea anymore. This is a real threat to Canada's future. And just when you thought things could not get any more politically explosive, Alberta's prime minister, or Alberta's premier, Danielle Smith, didn't just complain from the sidelines. She flew to Florida and she flew to Florida and held a private meeting with President Trump at Mar-a-Lago. What do you think about that? More importantly, what do you think that's about? I'm willing to bet that this is probably not just a tourist photo op. This was strategic. Are they discussing Alberta's exit strategy? A possible U.S.-Alberta energy alliance? Or maybe even a new trade pact that bypasses Ottawa entirely? Whatever it is, whatever it was, I think that the signal was very loud and it was definitely very clear. Alberta is looking for new leadership and they're looking south. They're looking south of the border. So, of course, we need to look at how Trump's economic moves are creating a stark contrast between a booming U.S. and a crumbling Canada, and how Mark Carney and Justin Trudeau are getting left in the dust. So we got to step back just for a second here, because while Canada is imploding under weak leadership and all sorts of globalist games, Trump's pulling off one of the boldest economic revivals in modern history. So right now, the contrast really couldn't be any more obvious. In America, Trump's unleashing a full-blown investment revolution, deregulation, tax-free tips and overtime, sovereign wealth pouring in from the Middle East, and of course, a booming stock market responding to new trade deals like fireworks on July 4th. In Canada, you got inflation, energy sabotage, and a prime minister who essentially folded to both China and Trump and then lied about it. So while Alberta is literally keeping the lights on for the rest of the whole country, Carney, he's throwing it under the bus to satisfy radical climate goals and foreign appeasement. So here's the punchline, guys. Trump is attracting Alberta's loyalty because when the U.S. is booming and Canada is crumbling, you better believe provinces like Alberta are going to start asking, hey, why not join the winning team, right? But this isn't just about Canada versus the U.S. This is a part of something much bigger than that, okay? So, of course, we need to talk about how Trump's return is triggering this global realignment and is exposing world leaders like Mark Carney, who simply are not built for this era. Mark Carney, he's just exposed, right? So we've covered the betrayal. We've covered the uprising, right? But now let's talk about what's happening on the world stage, because Trump's return is not just changing North America. It's actually shaking up the globe. So Trump's first major move abroad in his second term, Saudi Arabia, and not just a visit. He received a royal welcome on a purple carpet. This is a symbol of power and prestige, guys. He literally brought with him the biggest names in American innovation. He came with Elon Musk, Mark Zuckerberg, Sam Altman, and CEOs of Palantir, BlackRock, and more. Big money, lots of power, right? Their mission? To secure billions of dollars in foreign investment into the U.S., and he's doing it. Meanwhile, Canada's leadership, they're being politely ignored on the world stage. What an embarrassment, right? Like if I were Canadian, I would literally be embarrassed and pissed off at my leaders today. There's no major trade wins going on over in Canada right now. There's no major investments, just empty rhetoric, internal chaos. And I think that Canadians are just fed up with it at this point. So let's be real, guys. Trump has clearly flipped the script. You got leaders like Mark Carney. He tried to play tough, but Trump exposed them as weak, dishonest, and deeply compromised. And so here's what's happening right now. Countries are dropping their tariffs. They're racing to the table. They're forming former allies of China. They're now looking to realign with the U.S. because they realize China's the weak one. And globalists like Mark Carney, they're getting outed and replaced. This isn't just about policy. This is a psychological shift in global power, guys. And the shockwaves are being felt in Alberta, in Canada, in Europe, everywhere. So here's the thing. For years, Trump was mocked for warning about China, warning about China's corruption and about globalism, right? But now, everything he warned about is coming true. China's collapsing. Mark Carney got caught. Canada's unraveling. And millions of people are all of a sudden waking up to the fact that, hey, we've been bamboozled. We've been lied to for years. This, ladies and gentlemen, this isn't just a political movement. This is a generational awakening. And Trump, he didn't just ignite it. He's leading this thing. So now the real question is this, like, where do we go from here, right? Will Canada hold its leadership accountable? Will Alberta be able to break away and forge a new alliance with Trump's America? And what happens next as the Trump effect spreads from Riyadh to Ottawa to Beijing, right? Drop your thoughts in the comments down below, guys, because if you found this video eye-opening, I would really appreciate if you hit the like button, share this video, and subscribe for more unfiltered updates that the mainstream media refuses to cover. Because remember, nobody listened before, but now they can't ignore it. Oh, and don't forget, if you're trying to save money, if you're 65 or older, maybe your parents are 65 or older, reach out to our friends over at Chapter. Link in the description down below, or hit them up on the phone. We'll see you guys on the next one. Hey, by the way, guys, if you're one of the real ones who really enjoy what we do here on the channel, you've got to check out the Inner Circle. This is where our true supporters get exclusive access to content that I just can't share here, completely commercial free. It's also the best way to keep this channel going strong. So if you want to be a part of something special, join us over there. Links in the description or in the pinned comment down below.